Hi, I'm Brian Lord, Senior Vice President of Premier Speakers Bureau. I'm excited to have Scott Stratten, who literally was just minutes ago named one of Forbes' top 10 social media influencers and also the author of Unmarketing, Stop Marketing, Start Engaging. Scott, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. An exciting moment for me right now, so it's very cool.
Yeah, you got to love the real time of social media here. But
that's great.
Anyway, Scott, the world of corporate event planning is changing rapidly, and social media is certainly a big part of that. What are some of the ways that event planners can take advantage of social media before, during, and even after their event?
Well, outside of the general things that a lot of them have been doing, like having event pages, so whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn having pages, or even on a blog or an Eventbrite page, there's ways to really pull in real-time stuff. Now, let's just take Twitter, for example. Like the basic thing of just creating an official conference hashtag and announcing it to everybody on your list, whether it's through an email saying, hey, by the way, this is our tag. Because you'll be surprised how many of your attendees actually use Twitter. I've seen a lot of event planners assume that, well, our attendees aren't. But when I ask the audience, you have a third or even half of them on it. We've kind of lost that opportunity. When you create that hashtag, the pound, and the acronym for the event, it allows it to be searchable, and then people can see everything being said about your conference. As long as your conference is good, that's a good thing. You just want to make sure it's a bad conference, don't do a hashtag. But it allows also people like me as a speaker, I can search that hashtag and then see who is asking questions about the conference, the content, or even potentially my keynote. That's really important because then I jump in and engage with them pre-conference. And there's a huge difference with the audience when they can see somebody like a keynote speaker talking with the audience before the event instead of just flying in, speaking, and flying out. I think there's a lot of value to that because then it gets them to want to come to the talk. At 8 a.m. talk, sometimes you got to convince people to show up. And that's one of the big parts for me. Now, during the conference is a great way to obviously listen. It's a huge listening tool that people are passive in person but aggressive online. I'm not going to hunt down the meeting planner to tell you that the room is cold. I'm going to tweet it. I'm going to put it on my Facebook status. I'm going to put it somewhere that says, look, I'm not happy, but I'm not going to go find you. So to listen to that, you can act in real time. And to feel like a conference is listening, that's really important. Instead of feeling like, well, I paid my registration, now that they don't care about me. So you can really increase the engagement in real time. We've never had that before. I think that's an important point. But I don't think event planners should go overboard with the real-time stuff. And my example with that is like the tweet screen. I love that in the hallway. I love that in real time and attendees can see who's talking, but I do not suggest putting it on stage during a speaker's talk, beside or behind the speaker. It really just creates a huge distraction for the audience and a huge distraction for the speaker, and it never adds value to it, right? I like to look at it if I'm the speaker. Like, I'm so distracted by it myself that you should do the talk. Now, if there's a Q&A part, you can turn it on during that, but let the speaker speak. Let the person do their talk, but also watch the channel while they're talking. Have somebody on staff watching the tag. So if somebody brings it up and says, look, we can't hear them in the back, or somebody's not happy with something, or this wasn't the way I thought it was going to be, you can talk to them online or offline and address those needs right then. I have people ask, hey, Scott is going to be signing books, or their books for sale at the bookstore. It can help you increase on-site sales because they're going to say, hey, yeah, by the way, it's over here, you can grab it. So we can do real time. And then post-conference is a great way to kind of get your feedback. Event planners are always dying for feedback, right? After the event, how did it do? How are the speakers? How are the venues? So you can help your future events. And the filling of the survey, really, it's hard to do. So afterwards, you can see that feedback because people are being honest and raw when it comes to, especially on Twitter, and you can see it. You might not want to read it all the time, but I think it's really important to see it. And then to thank people. Hey, thanks for coming. Instead of just hitting them with, here's next year's registration, sign up again, here we go. Show that you're listening, and it adds value potentially for the next conference if it's one that goes on every year.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too, that and using social media is a great way to make an event planner look good too. And you've given several ways to do that. I mean, just for me, a personal testimony of that, I was at an event in Indianapolis, last year, and where the client had brought in Peyton Manning to speak, and they had created an event hashtag. It was hashtag leadership such and such afterwards, and a rather senior executive went on to, who I'm guessing may not have been on Twitter, but he went on to introduce him, and his opening joke, which was a great one, was introducing Peyton Manning in Indianapolis is like introducing the Pope in Rome, and of course he got a big laugh at it, and so we get backstage, and afterwards I'm looking on my phone and I'm showing him on Twitter that all these people are retweeting what he said, and this light bulb went off in his head that this is a great thing, but not only that, my event planner thought to do this, and so it's a great way. Yeah.
Huge tool, huge asset, because your job as an event planner isn't convincing the client necessarily even to use Twitter. You show them, like you just did there, the proof that, look at what people are saying, and they're like, well, where does this even come from? What is this magical piece of information I've gotten? Like, that's Twitter. So instead of saying, hey, we need to be on Twitter, and they'll be like, well, that tweezer thing's not for us.
Yeah.
You show them, look, and you can show trending, you can show how many mentions, you can show reach. Like, this is real-time stuff. It's brilliant. But you've got to match the metric with the mind. You've got to show the client, if they're interested in mention numbers or exposure, then don't even mention the word Twitter or tweezer or anything else to them. Mention the numbers they want to hear, and then it's a no-brainer after that to them.
Right. Well, Scott, thanks so much for these great tips. I know that I'm sure event planners are going to be able to use them quite a bit.
Okay, you're very welcome.